As a parent, do you feel that it is important to, in the summer months right after graduation, June, July, maybe a little bit of August, do you feel that it is important to give that child that sense of freedom, maybe letting them go out a little bit later or doing more than they would normally do, considering the fact that they're going to have to learn how to do it once they get to college anyway? Do you think that it's like, okay, that's kind of like their practice period of learning how to be adults and go out with people that you may not necessarily know who they are, and it could be a practice time for you as a parent to know how to deal with that? Do you think that may be in order, possibly, or no?
If I understand the question correctly, now what I did not tell you when I first met you is that not only do I have a daughter who is a senior, I have a junior and a sophomore. So when my senior graduates, I will be having, in the next 3 years, well, the next 2 years, I'll have 3 daughters in college. And so that means that my 10th grader already acts like my 12th grader. My 11th grader should be in college already. But anyway, I said all that to say this because right now in high school, if I don't know you, no, I'm not letting you go. If I don't know your friend, why? The reason why I'm choosing right now is because when you do leave me, I need you to know what kind of people I approve of in your life.
Wow.
And so that means that when you're way off in college, you're gonna examine people and say, you know what, my daddy would not allow me to be with those type people. And so I'm already setting the boundaries for you. You may not, like you said a minute ago, you may not like it now in high school, but you'll thank me later. I promise you, you will.
Oh, wow. I told you when Pastor, when I had the chance to meet with you a couple of days ago, when I asked you to come onto the show, I told you, as a father, it seems like you're almost speaking the same words. I see my father in you. And and to me, it's like, man, so all parents, good parents, think alike.
Yes.
I now realize that all of you all say the same thing. If you get mad at one good parent and you go to another good parent, they're going to tell you the same thing, that the good parent that brought you into the world told you. So, I know sometimes being a freshman, you have to figure out who to go to for advice. You have to figure out, who do I need to be my mentor? Because although you can call on mother and father if you want to, they might not always pick up the phone. They may be, daddy might be in a meeting or mama might be at work, something of that nature. So for that moment, you have to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to figure this out? And you have to choose between the good decisions and the stupid decisions. And when you said that you try to give your daughter an example of the kind of people that she needs to be hanging out with, that's helping her decide between the good decisions and the stupid decisions.
That is correct. Yes.
You'll tell her, if she decides to go hang out with, with a guy or something, and he's a thug with the typical, do-rag on his head, the pants sagging down to his behind, you can see his little SpongeBob drawers, his boxers, and then she says, Daddy, I want to go hang out with him, and you say no, and she says, why not? Because I said so. And then she'll go to her room and I wonder why Daddy wouldn't let me hang out with him. And then she comes to college and she gets the freedom to hang out with those kind of guys, and she sees what kind of jerks guys like that are to her, and then she'll say, I got it. That's why Daddy was telling me not to hang out with them. My daddy told me so many people not to hang out with, all different kinds of people. And it wasn't just one group of people. He says, son, the drug dealers, don't hang with them. They'll end you up in a bad place. Be careful whose car you get into. And you know, it's funny. I would think that when I was a freshman, I thought that, okay, we're all going to think like adults. We're all going to, you know, be mature and make, you know, adult-like decisions. Oh, yeah, they're making adult-like decisions, all right, on the other spectrum, on the other end. And even now, I say, when I get into a car with some friends of mine, especially if I don't know them very well, I ask, y'all got any drugs in this car? If so, you need to tell me now. And then they'll look at me like I'm crazy. And I say, don't look at me like I'm crazy. I don't know about you, but I don't do drugs. And so if you got something in this car, you need to either get them out or I'm going back to my room. And so things like that, I get it now. I understand. And if there's a message, there's a warning that I can heed to any high school student, any graduating senior, listen to your parents. They won't steer you wrong. They won't. They won't tell you something that's going to harm you because they're your parents and they love you. Sometimes I have to remind myself when I'm talking on the phone with my parents while I'm here at the university and they tell me something, and sometimes it's like, oh God, here they go again. And then a part of me, something will kick in to say, listen, they might be telling you something you need to hear. And it'll just be a quick second, like, oh God, I don't want to hear this. And then it's like, no, you might need to hear this. This might be something you'll be needing later on. Do you think that there are specific areas of child rebellion and then child maturity? Like that age where they say, I hate you. And then that age they say, okay, maybe I don't hate you. And then they say, okay, I get it. And then they say, wow, I wish my mom and dad were here.
You know, as far as maturity is concerned, we mature in all phases of our lives. Mm-hmm. I'm reminded of a scripture that says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is the first commandment with promise that your days might be long on the land. Now, with that particular scripture that the Lord gives in the Bible, he said this is the first commandment that backs with a promise. So he's telling us in that group of scripture that you may not understand it, but if your parent genuinely loves you and has your best interest in mind, they are going to lead you into the right direction. And through you following the instructions of your parents, they're going to make sure that you get to where you need to be in life. I would like to throw a caution out there. I remember when I must have been 22, 23 years old, maybe 22, and I had my wife. We had 2 or 3 kids, something like that, and we were sitting in Sunday school one morning, and my pastor says, how many of you in here grown? And almost the whole congregation raised their hands, and here this man is. He's in his 50s, and all of a sudden he says, "Look here, let me let you understand one thing. If you're 25 and below, you're not grown yet." I was like, "Who? What? I'm grown. I'm on my own. I'm doing my own thing. I'm grown. And who is he to tell me I'm not?" The reason why I say that is because I hear a lot of young people will so in a hurry to be grown for what? You in a hurry to be grown to pay your own bills? Oh my goodness, slow down. You're gonna get grown. This is something that I know. When in your 20s, you're finding your way. So you're not grown when you're looking for something. By the time you hit 30, you should done figure this thing out by now. And by the time you're 40, you should be walking it out, preparing for better days. So if you're in your 20s, especially freshmen, slow down. Please slow down. You got a long life ahead of you. You got a lot of living to do. And right now, this is the time to really find out who you really are and make good decisions. One of the things I reiterate to my church all the time before I preach or give a sermon, I say, Lord, as these words come across this pulpit, number one, let it fall on good ground. but let the hearers make wise decisions in response to what they hear. Oh my goodness, did you hear that? Making wise decisions in response to what you hear. If ever you sat down and thought about what you were about to do, I promise you, the good will always speak to you, but it may be small and still, so you will always have the opportunity to do what is right. You do have the opportunity. So again, everything is important, but we must be rooted and grounded. Number one, in the things that our parents is trying to give us. I believe that with all my heart.
And you know what? I have to agree with you 100% as far as that thinking part. You know, there is something back in my mother and father's home in Birmingham, where I'm from. There's something that sits in their kitchen. There's this plaque that sits in their kitchen that says, I'm paraphrasing here, in a world full of chaos, in a world that's noisy, be silent, be still, and listen to God. And it's funny when every time I go in my kitchen, I call it my mother's kitchen because, you know, in my house the kitchen belongs to my mother. That is her domain. That is her castle. When I see it, I think about it in such a. Your first year is so chaotic. It's so you're just so many things are just coming at you at one time. If there is one thing that I can suggest to graduating seniors and current college freshmen who are out there listening, make time to be still and just be calm and be quiet and to just listen and just listen. Let's just say if you have something else that you use for inspiration, listen to that. My inspiration is God. You may have something else that you use for your inspiration, your thing to call on, whatever it is. Listen and just be calm and be quiet. One thing that helped me was to just sit in my dorm room sometimes and just say, okay, what am I going to do today? What good am I going to contribute to my life as a college student on this campus? What good is my life? What good can my life produce? And there were some days as a freshman that I didn't think that way. It was just woo, woo, woo. And now I look back on those days and I say, that wasn't even necessary. It wasn't even necessary. I just did it just to say I did this. I did it just to say I'm grown, as you said. I'm grown. And I think now that
can I interject real quick?
You may.
I remember a few years ago, not here at Jack State, but a college in Texas. I knew this young lady whose father was really trying to rear her up in the right way, and her testimony in the church was that everybody always talk about they did this and they talk about they did that. I don't get to do anything. And I'm laughing at it now, but she went off to college. I'm not gonna name the college. Probably the next semester she comes back with her head held down. And this same young lady who said I never did anything now has a testimony that I went out one time and was gang raped that night. You see, a lot of times we think, again, I'm going back to this grown thing. It's almost like I felt something. I hit a nerve when I said about being grown. It's not so much that nobody's trying to belittle you, but there is a process in development. There are stages that you have to go through in your development, your whole mentality of thinking. Just think, Mr. Moore, just here talking to you, you say how much you have progressed from freshman to sophomore. But by the time you came out into your own, after you cried for 48 hours, 24 hours, and didn't sleep for 48 hours, was in this state of devastation. But when you came out of that, you were back into, I'm grown now.
Yeah.
But now look at it from there. Now you say, man, look how much more I've grown from that point to this point.
Yeah.
So that lets us know that there is no, what's this word I'm looking for? There's no light that's going to come on and say, I'm grown now. You know, it's like, I'm grown. No, quit looking for that. Let time take its place in your life and development build you up so that your character, your integrity will say,